Hey peeps, and welcome to Humanities Through the Arts, or IHU 101. I'm so happy that you have decided to join me. I am your host, Dr. Hendrickson. You can call me Dr. H, everybody does. So welcome. I hope everyone has had a wonderful 4th of July. I hope you've had a great weekend and you've had the opportunity to enjoy some of the gorgeous weather that we've had, although it seems that we've had some unseasonably warm weather, but I'll take that over snow any day. So, a little bit about me. After all, this is an introductory video. I am a professor at Delta College. I am the director of choral activities, if you didn't know. Delta College has 3 very fine vocal ensembles: the Delta College Chorale, the Delta College Chamber Choir, and the Delta College Jazz Singers. We have live performances, at least we did before the pandemic hit, but we're hoping to get back to live performances very soon. I am a professor, as I said, at Delta College. I also teach music theory, music appreciation, and I also have taught class piano. I also teach voice. So if you are interested in any of that, shoot me an email and I would love to talk to you about it. Okay, so I'm going to find out a little bit more about you through our discussion topics. Let me first say I do apologize that things are kind of slow to get started here, but it is summer and a lot has been going on since the spring semester ended. So I do apologize. I know there's some broken links. Yes, those are fixed now. You should be able to access everything with respect to the assignments and the discussion topics. More on that in a little bit. So this course essentially, Humanities Through the Arts, is a survey of artistic forms throughout historic periods. And so it's going to involve us looking at various art forms throughout throughout history and up to the present day. And of course these art forms will involve things like painting and sculpture, literature, theater, music, and dance and photography and cinema. But all of these art forms, we are going to focus through the lens of music. Now, the reason for that is that this course is taught by multiple professors here at Delta College, and each of the professors that teaches it through the lens of their own discipline. So, for example, an English professor would probably focus more on the literature aspect, and versus a music professor is going to focus through the lens of music. So that's what we're going to be looking at. While our text also includes a chapter on television and video art, we are omitting that this time, so don't worry about that. We don't need to look at that right now. Don't worry about the text and the video art, the television and video art. While I think those are certainly valid art forms and should be looked at, we just simply do not have time to cover all of those things in the span of this condensed semester. And by the way, I should mention, this is a condensed session, right? This is only a 7.5-week session. Normal semesters are 14 weeks. We only get half that time, so just be aware. Okay, so as I discussed in our syllabus, I'm not utilizing our textbook for this section on music. Now, I know that may sound a little strange because I am a music professor, but here's why. We are going to be focusing on music in a different way, not through the lens of your textbook, but through the lens of some live performances and some views of some live performances. I'll explain more about that later, but that's kind of where these podcasts come in. So we're going to be looking at music in a more personalized aspect as opposed to looking at music through what our textbook dictates to us, in other words. So, okay. So a little bit then about the assignments. First of all, the first thing you should do, if you have not already done so, is buy that textbook. The textbook is the Humanities with the Arts, the 10th edition. If you need the link, go to our Delta College bookstore, type in the courses that you're taking, and that link for purchasing that textbook will come up. The description of the textbook. It does not matter to me whether you buy a physical copy or whether you use an online version, either of that, or a digital version. Either one works, okay? But you got to have it in order to complete the text or to complete the course. So please do buy that right away. Then the next thing you're going to want to do is participate in our first online discussion topic. Now, I know you haven't been able to access it. Trust me, it's fixed. You can access it now. And that is introductions. And this is just simply where you tell me a little bit about you. So do log on, do access our contents page or activities page, do complete that first discussion topic, which is called introductions, and you just tell me a little bit about you. Okay. Don't forget that you got to subscribe to a topic before you can post anything, all right? Now, then you're going to want to complete the first assignment. Now, a little bit about these assignments. You can find the assignments in a couple of different places. First, you can look on the Contents tab, and you can see all of our assignments are listed right there under each section. They have links to each of the assignments. Or you can go to the Activities tab, and you'll see the one of the choices in the drop-down menu box is assignment drop boxes. Click on that and you will see all of the assignments in which you can submit your answers to questions. Now let's talk just a little bit about those. Your textbook is separated up into, I believe it's 6 sections. I think we're only going to be looking at 5. At the close of each chapter, there are what are called perception key questions, okay? And this is just simply questions related to the material that you have just read. And so I will be asking you to consider these questions, not all, but a few of them, and then submit your answers based upon your reading. So I might say something like choose the first 3 questions, or choose any 3 of the 5. You know, I'll give you options to choose how many questions you would like to answer. So before we go any further, let's understand each other when it comes to time frames, okay? First of all, this is a summer course, folks. Very laid back, okay? There is no rush, get it done, okay? You actually have until the end of the month to complete the first chapter's questions. I will give you until the end of the semester to complete everything. So you've got nothing to worry about. The only deadlines that you're really going to need to pay attention to are those that involve the podcast. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. But once you have completed the first assignment where you've answered those perception key questions, you'll see how easy it is to simply, submit something through a Dropbox. Okay. So we have a reading component to each section, a viewing and listening component, and discussion components for each of these sections, okay? So your reading and writing component, all the reading will come from our online text. And so that's another reason why you got to buy that textbook. So the writing components are where you answer those perception key questions and you just submit your answers. It's really simple. And folks, let me also mention here, these are what do you think type questions. There is no explicit or definitive right or wrong, okay? Just answer the question to the best of your ability. What do you think? This is a humanities course. It is exploring the humanities through the arts. So this is really more of a human experience type of survey, and you being human, we want to know what you have to say about things. Okay, the listening and viewing component is a little bit different. There will be some things for you to listen to as well as things to view. So, and I will have links for all of those, but here's where the podcast comes in, okay? This is the first time we've done anything like this with this course. So this course is going to be associated with a podcast. The podcast is going to feature local talent from the Tri-Cities, from Midland, Bay City, and Saginaw, and surrounding areas. And so what's going to happen is, starting on, I believe it's July the 20th, you will have 5 podcasts each successive week, I believe it is. I'll have a schedule up here in a minute. And each of these separate podcasts are going to have to feature a local artist of some kind, musical artist. So I'm going to be asking you to watch the podcast, again, at your leisure. You don't have to watch it at a specific time. You can watch it at any point and submit your questions at any, or sorry, your comments at any point. What I am going to do, and this is where the deadline comes in, I am going to have you view the biographies of the artists and a little sampling of their work, and then have you submit questions, and each of you has to submit at least one question to be asked during the podcast. You do not have to attach your name to it. If you want to use your first name, that's fine. If you don't want to use your name at all, that's also fine. But each of you must submit one question to each artist. So like, the first artist is actually a group. It's called Viris Sacre Cantores. It's a men's vocal ensemble, and you're going to be you'll get a description of who they are, a brief bio of the singers, a brief history of that ensemble, and then you simply, as an individual, ask a question, one question. You can ask more than one, but you must ask at least one question. This is for a grade. So then you have to subscribe to the podcast. So you subscribe to the discussion topics, you also subscribe to the podcast. Now, the podcast, you can like it, you can dislike it, however you want to go with it, that's perfectly fine, but you must subscribe. And of course, if you like, then that's of course better. But if you don't like it, well, then you don't like it. That's okay. This is not an exercise in getting you to like a new art form or to like a new group or anything like that. This is just simply, again, part of the human experience. So, understand, you will be watching these podcasts, that's the viewing portion, listening to samples of the artists, in other words, samples of their performances, and giving comments after the fact, after you've watched the podcast, after you've heard them. And then you're going to be asked to compare what you watch and listen to various art that we have discussed in our text. And you'll see all of this will be linked together. And you may say, oh, this doesn't even relate, and that's fine. Again, these are all what do you think type questions. So please, don't stress over this. You're just being asked to watch and to listen and to write a little bit. Honestly, that's basically what this all boils down to. Okay, so to give you an idea of some of the other artists that are coming up, the second artist, his name is Eric Ryden. He is a local guitarist, also a percussionist. He plays in several bands, and so we are going to be watching one of his performances with one of his bands. And I'm, again, going to give you his bio. You're going to submit at least one question based upon what you read in his bio. And then after you view the podcast, you've listened to him respond to your questions, then you are going to comment and discuss what you've listened to, what you've watched, and relate it to an art form that we've discussed in our text. Okay, so we've got a series of these artists coming up, 5 of them, so there are going to be 5 separate podcasts. They're each a week apart. There's going to be a schedule for you to watch them. Again, I must stress this. While the podcast won't be open until after each successive one, you still have the entire semester to watch, to listen, and to comment. Understand, you don't have to have these comments in any specific time, but the questions that you ask of the artist, remember at least one question, those have got to be in prior to the airing of the podcast. So for example, the first podcast is the Viri Sacra Cantores, the men's ensemble. You got to have your questions in by July 19th. And again, I'll have these dates up for you to watch, but that means that on the 20th, when the podcast goes live, then we ask the questions on that date. And then after the podcast is published, then you can watch it at your leisure. You can watch however many minutes of it you want. You have to watch the whole podcast, but you are going to be able to watch it, at your leisure. You don't have to watch it as it's going on. You can watch it at any point, but you will be asked to provide discussions and relate what you listen to, what you watch to specific art forms that we've discussed in our text. The second podcast doesn't come live until July 27th, so your questions must be submitted by the day before, the 26th. So once again, I will have all of this spelled out in on a calendar for you, and I do ask that you take a look at that detailed course calendar because it does have everything that we do. Also, note that our our e-learning site, the homepage, has that news items on the very first page. I will post things there. There's also a calendar on that first page. If you look down at the lower right-hand corner of that homepage, you can see an events calendar. It shows what's coming due, for example. Note that there are date ranges. Everything starts on a date and it has an end date, but understand, folks, that end date isn't until the end of the semester. You've got plenty of time. Relax. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, why can't I just get all this done up front? No, I'm sorry, that's not how this works. There's a schedule that we do need to follow, particularly with respect to the podcast, because it is directly related. So, no, you can't submit everything up front and then go vacation. That's not how this works. You've got to take the time to view the podcasts and do the readings and so forth and answer those perception key questions. Okay. Again, this is very simple. This is nothing for you to really get worked up over. If you do the assignments, if you answer the questions, if you view the podcast, if you submit your questions, if you submit your comments, you're going to make an A. It's fairly simple. So just do the work, do the assignments. If you have questions, the best way to get in touch with me is through email. I am not in my office at all in the summer. I mean, very rarely do I poke my head in the door. So the best way to get in touch with me is through email. I will answer your email within 24 to 48 hours, except on the weekends. I do not respond to email on the weekends. So if you send me an email after 5 p.m. on a Friday, you're not going to hear back from me until the following Monday. Likewise, if you send me an email on a Saturday or on a Sunday, it's going to be Monday or later before you're going to hear back from me, okay? That's just the way it works in the summer months. All right, so hopefully everyone will be doing well, and I really am excited to get to read your responses and to talk with you, if only virtually. Once again, I must caution you, if you do not want your full name read on the podcast, just simply state so when you submit your questions. First name only or anonymous is fine. I will know it's you because you send the questions, you submit the questions from your own, to me. So I hope this is clear. If there's any confusion about it, please get in touch with me. Let me know. I will try to clarify as much as possible. I apologize for all these delays, but it's only the first week. Happy 4th, and hope everyone's doing well. I look forward to getting to know each of you, if only in cyberspace. Thanks, folks. Have a great semester.
Love makes me treat you the way that I do. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you? There's nothing too good for a girl that's so true. Gee, baby, ain't I good to you? bought you